where you're joining us from, and what show you're binging. We will go ahead and get started. Now we have a couple more people joining. We want to welcome you officially to today's webinar, The Unlimited Potential of Non-Dues Revenue, with the legendary Kate Conroy, who's here with us. And there will be a question and answer session at the end, but you're welcome to drop questions throughout in the chat if it's relevant, and we can tie that in, but just know there will be a little bit of time held at the end for more questions as well. As a reminder, Institute is both a CAE and a CCE approved provider. So with that, if you are present on today's webinar, so live on this call, you are able to request a webinar certificate from our IOM inbox, and I'll drop in the chat that email as soon as the webinar concludes. And just know that a recording will be sent to your email immediately after the webinar concludes. And then additionally, we do house a copy or a recording of the webinar on our Webinar and Resource Center, as well as the accompanying PowerPoint. And those are available typically about 48 hours after the webinar. And then 2 other announcements. Winter registration is open, and I'll drop in the chat where to register for that if you are interested in joining us or know somebody who is. And we will have a Fall Institute information session next Thursday, so held at 12 p.m. Eastern, and I'll also drop in the chat. And that is going to be a general things to know about Institute, great thing to promote in your network, or if you are a little bit newer and want to learn more, going over the program as a whole. So we'll drop that in the chat. And it is my pleasure to now introduce you to Kate. Kate is Vice President of Member Engagement for the Hospitality Minnesota, the state's trade association for restaurants, hotels, resorts, and campgrounds, 4 things. And prior to joining Hospitality Minnesota, Kate was the Vice President of Strategic Partnerships at the New Jersey Business and Industry Association. And Kate is one of our Institute volunteers. She served as Board of Regents Chair for the Northeast Board, and she has joined us now as faculty. We're really excited to keep her. And Kate received her Master's of Arts degree in History from the Armstrong campus of Georgia Southern University in Savannah, Georgia. And I love her specialties. She specialized in medieval Iberian or Spanish history and the relationships between Muslims, Christians, and Jews during the High Middle Ages as the Black Death swept through Europe. So at Northeast, Kate had a pin we had an Ask Me About, and Kate's was Ask Me About the Black Death. So ask her about the Black Death, maybe at the end, maybe after the call, but ask Kate about it. She has a wealth of knowledge of all things. And I'm really excited to turn that over to you, Kate, to talk about non-Black Death, please. And we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, the Black Death is a really interesting topic, but it is not cheerful. I would work on the paper for, 8 hours and then just want to hang myself at the end of it. It was not easy to write that dissertation. Anyway, that is not what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about something much better, non-dues revenue. And as all of you know, non-dues revenue is important because your budget will not thrive if you just pour dues into it. You have to support your expenses through something other than just dues, and non-dues revenue is one of the best ways. So we're gonna move right along. There are a lot of different possible non-dues revenue options. I picked my 4 favorite: group travel, advertising, events, and affinity partnerships. So we're gonna just jump right in. When I get excited about something, I tend to talk really, really fast. And so I'm gonna try to hold myself back and slow down. If we move faster than you're comfortable with, please throw something into the chat, and I'll try to slow down and go back and cover something that maybe I missed. So first of all, why group travel? Why would chambers of commerce and associations want to have anything to do with group travel? Well, there's really good networking on group travel. It's a greener way of traveling, and excursions and hotels are already taken care of. So if you wanted to book a travel from your location to someplace in the world using this mechanism, it's a worry-free experience, which is a really nice way to go. And the way that it works is you find a tour company or a travel agent, hopefully a member. I have used Colette Vacations in the past, and you start with a trip that seems doable or has a local connection. For a long time, I ran the Kenilworth Chamber of Commerce in Kenilworth, New Jersey, and they have a sister city, Kenilworth, England, and so that was sort of a natural connection, right? So find a natural connection if you can, or just pick something that seems really doable. The first one that I did was a tour of Great Britain, and that felt doable because nobody needed to learn a new language. Nobody needed to feel like they were gonna be sort of out to sea on a tour bus with people that they didn't know. Tack on $200 per person for registration, more or less, depending on your market. And the pros are, with the right kind of marketing, it almost sells itself. You do need to like start a year in advance because, yes, question, do we market to members and community members? Yes, market to everywhere. How do you compete with neighboring chambers who are also offering these trips? Make it someplace really different. If they're doing England, do Japan or Australia. Try to offer something that's really interesting and different. You do have to start about a year out though, because things like this book up fast. The soft costs are one of the cons. There's legwork involved. You have to like do the work of putting it together and then actually put together a marketing plan and push it out to people, right? It does not go alone. You have to like, yeah, your chamber just got back from Italy. And Frank Marino, how much money did you make on that trip to Italy, if you don't mind me asking? You don't have to tell me. That's okay. All right, we're going to move on. That's group travel. We can talk more about it later. I'm going to move on to advertising. Yours is in Scotland now. I love that. You guys are taking advantage of this. I love that. France. These are such $16,000 last year. That is fantastic. Don Johnson, communities having a hard time getting registrations, need ideas. Oh, trade mission. So many possibilities. So many possibilities. All right, I'm going to move on to advertising. Most of you are probably already doing advertising, but just in case, the way that you start is you create an inventory with pricing. And then you use that inventory to create packages that grow incrementally each year. You connect those packages with other inventory like sponsorships. The pros are it's pure profit almost. The cons are, of course, soft costs and UBIT. If you have attended Institute in the past, you know what UBIT is, unrelated business income tax. I am not somebody who can teach you the do's and don'ts of UBIT. You should have a professional talk to you about that. Okay, so when you drill down into this recording, Zenobia, this recording is being recorded. This presentation is being recorded and it will be shared out, yes. So advertising. Here is what an inventory could look like. You've got banner ads, you've got sponsor content, you've got co-branded emails, you've got member update emails. And the pricing will, of course, be dependent on your market. So this is a sample. Like this is what I have listed in my visibility catalog. Standard banner ads, 8 available monthly. These are the things that you get: linked scrolling ad placement, linked ad placement and 1 member update per month, monthly analytics for quarterly and annual advertisement agreements. So you can buy per month, but if you do more, you're going to get more bang for your buck and you're going to get all of the details. So that's advertising for the standard banner ad. Here's a sponsored content visibility. So sponsored content, for those of you who don't know, is sort of like an advertorial. The person who's buying it writes an article. They then send it to you. You put it in your member update email or your weekly blast email, whatever you call that. And then when they click on it to finish reading the article, because they only get the first like couple paragraphs, readers are redirected to your website to read the full article. And bonus, you can also get them to buy the banner ad at the top of that as well, if they want to. So that's an example of putting these things together. Oh boy, Mike Throne has an exploding head. I hope that's exploding in a good way. And this is a really low maintenance thing to do. They do all the work. They've written the article. All you do is plug it in. So I priced this really attractively at $500. Another option is an exclusive co-branded email. So a co-branded email is when your logo and their logo are at the top of an email. and the email is constructed by them. We approve it, but it's just an advertisement from them to the membership. It's sent out to all of your subscribers. We have an average open rate of about 45%. When you're putting together your packages, make sure that you include as many of these little details as possible. People will ask the question, and it's nice to have it already in there. And then we also include the open rates and click rates on the 3 email bundle. So it's valued at $1,000, but if you buy a package of 3, it's $2,500. And then this is our weekly member update. It's you probably call it something else. It's just the blast email that you send out once a week to members, letting them know what's going on. If you want to buy 52 of these, all of them in a year, it's $10,000. If you'd only like to buy 1 quarter, it's 30% of that list price. If you want to do monthly, it's 15% of the list price. It is exclusive for that month or that quarter. Their logo goes at the top. It goes out to all of the email recipients that we have. Average open rate, again, you want to list that. And they participate in the publication. So we send out the monthly analytics and the performance reports. You want to make sure that you give them as much information as you possibly can, because you want to get them to say yes quickly, right? So then you use the inventory to create packages, and the packages have to grow incrementally each year. So for example, year 1, you put together a small package that includes 1 banner ad and 1 co-branded email. And then in the second year, maybe both of those things plus 1 networking event. And then in the third year, all of those things plus 1 sponsored content article. The goal is to create a group of sponsors and advertisers that not only grows outward as you add more of them to the group, but upward as you increase the amount that each one of those is supporting you with, if that makes sense. So outward and upward. My community size and number of members where I use this. So my size is the whole state. I believe we have about 1,600 members, if that's helpful. And of course, the cons are the soft costs. This takes time, and of course, the UBIT. You don't ever want to forget to pay your taxes. As RuPaul says, always pay your taxes. Visual examples of what these emails, yeah, I can send those to you. Yeah, Lydia wants to know if I have visual examples of what these emails look like with branding. Yes, I can send those. Do you care about the risk of getting more? Oh, yeah, you want to be very careful about not allowing people to be annoyed and then unsubscribing. So we are very careful about how many of those are allowed to be sent out. So for example, the co-branded emails, we only do 12 of those a year, which is why we're able to price them maybe a little bit higher. We're only going to do 12 of those a year in order to protect the sanity of the membership, right? Okay, moving on to events. You all do events. I know that you know how to do this, but I'm just going to go through this just in case there's an idea or two in here that you haven't already thought of. So this list is just the different kinds of events that you can have. So for example, continuing education. Anytime the government makes a law about something HR related, you should put on an HR related event, educating your members so that they don't get sued, so that they are protected, right? You can sell a ticket to that event, and in some cases, you can also sell the speaking opportunity because the speaker is getting excellent visibility in front of your audience. Just throwing that out there. Policy events are important. Gala dinners where you give out a bunch of awards. Golf is important, even though I know for many of you it is a sacred cow. And then, of course, the good old expo that we all are very familiar with, I'm sure. For events, of course, you can sell sponsorships, you can sell tickets, you can sell space in the ad journal or program, you can do a silent auction, you can sell merch. These are all different ways to increase revenue or to add to your revenue for a different event. If you have an event that is around a particular time of year, you could sell like a Christmas ornament or a badge or something related to the time of year that it's happening. there's all kinds of merch that you can think about, and there's all kinds of people who want to sell you merch. Lots of different opportunities. Okay, so under events and advertising, if you have attended my class at Institute, this information might be familiar to you, but there's always room for being reminded, I think. So when you're creating a package, the opening paragraph should be a thank you. Thank you for this continued partnership or opportunity. The second paragraph should make the person receiving it feel like you're thinking about them. Based on your organization's goals and priorities, these opportunities were chosen specifically for you. And then after the package part, the final paragraph, the value of these opportunities far exceeds whatever the total is. Make it more than the total, but not drastically more. They need to know that there's value and a return on the investment. So this is what my proposal looks like. Dear Chris, and for those of you who are unsure about the colors, this is my template. If something is in red, that means that I need to edit it. It does not turn to black to match the rest of the text until I have edited it. Dear Chris, let us first extend our thanks to whatever the name of your company is for its continued support of or interest in getting more involved with. It's one of the two. For newbies, they get your interest. For somebody who keeps supporting you, continued support. I know that that's obvious, but you don't ever want to send this out without fixing that first. And then you've got the description of the event, date, location, expected number of attendees. Again, these are questions that people are going to have. Just give it all to them. This is what's, what the deliverables are, and this is the total amount. We believe that this package offers you a tremendous amount of exposure. The value easily exceeds. I added 7,500 because my total is 5,000. If my total was 2,000, I would not have made it 7,500. I maybe would have made it 4,500. It will help strengthen your position and visibility among our membership. Now, before you send this, make sure that you save it in your system in a format that will make sense to the prospect when it arrives in their inbox. For example, their company's name, my company's name, the year, and what it is. You do not want to save it as AT&T Visibility Package 2024. Your name isn't in there at all. You're going to force them to do save as and then come up with a whole new name for their system. Make it their name, your name, the year, and what it is. Also, do not ever, ever forget to PDF it before you send it. PDFing it just adds a level of professionalism. And if you don't know how to PDF, Google it. This is a very quick sample. You just do a little drop down. This is the title of it. Drop down. PDF is right here. Why PDF it? You cannot edit a PDF, and some people might be tempted. I'm just saying it. Some people might be tempted to edit your Excel spreadsheet. Also, Excel allows you to have cheat sheets at the bottom. So I said before, this is my template. When I need to change the template, I go to my cheat sheet and I just copy and paste right into here what needs to be edited. Oops. Whoa. Let me just make sure. People were popping up on my computer. Yeah, this is right. Okay, so that's events, sponsorships, packages. The last one that I want to talk about are affinity partnerships. I am not sure how many of you are currently doing affinity partnerships, probably a lot, but just in case, it is an agreement with a company to provide a service or product to the membership for a discounted price with a royalty back to the chamber or association on every paid invoice. And we want the contracts and the agreements to say royalty because royalties are not taxable. Alrighty. Now, what can you create an affinity partnership on? So much. I have participated in affinity relationships on all of these: office supplies, telephone lines, credit card processing, car rentals, background checks, employment law, office maintenance. The list goes on and on. There's really if somebody can sell it to your membership, they can give the membership a discount and they can give you a royalty. How do affinity partnerships work? The agreement has to include, in my experience, 3 components. The first is a special price for the membership. The member cannot get this price without being a member. The second thing is excellent customer service. When things go wrong, and let's face it, things go wrong, you want to be able to call your contact and have them fix it, whatever it is. The customer service has to be way, way up there. And then the third thing is the marketing dollars and or a royalty stream that goes back to the chamber or association. I say and or because you want the royalty stream, obviously, no question. But also, you're going to market this for them. And your budget might have line items attached to marketing that are non-negotiable. And let's be honest, they stand to make quite a bit of money, right? So if they can do the royalty stream plus $10,000 for marketing, I mean, $10,000 is often a drop in the bucket for a lot of these companies that are wanting to sell to your membership. That's the best case scenario, although 10 is low. If they can give you 20 or 30 or 40, take the money and run, as long as you use it appropriately to push the product or service out to the membership. So here's some sample language. I've just highlighted the bits that are important. You know, outstanding personal service and building customer loyalty. This company understands it. It's only available to members of affiliated companies, organizations, alumni organizations, unions, hospitals, and clubs. They hadn't even considered chambers of commerce and association when they created this agreement. The employee's company will receive 10% of the $99 membership fee, and it will provide the person $300 to $1,000 annually in travel savings. And the chamber will receive 10% of the $99 for all member companies, for all member company employees who join. And the chamber will be given quarterly sales reports and earnings reports. If when the chamber, the employee renews annually, the chamber will receive 10%. This quarterly sales reports and earnings reports, this is important. It is sometimes tempting to be so happy to be getting those monthly or quarterly checks that you don't ask for a statement to prove it. But statements are important because you want to know who on your membership is taking advantage of the program. You want to know how much they're buying, and you want to be able to go to your board and explain why or why not the program is doing well, right? Speaking of your board, for those of you who have something like this and you're struggling to get it off the ground, or you want to try this and you're not sure where to start the sales process with your board. Find someone who's friendly, who has a vested interest in your organization's health. And I say that sort of tongue in cheek because they all have a vested interest, but they're volunteers, and they don't all have the same amount of time. And you want it to be on the larger side. You don't want this to be a mom and pop, because you want, the more that the member buys, the more royalties come to you. So you want to pick kind of a big-ish member company if you can. And then don't just sell it to them. Ask them to do you a favor by vetting the program. You want them to kick the tires as a customer and see how it goes. You want them to report back. There is no pressure. Stress that there is no pressure to buy. You want them to just check it out. And then when the program proves that it will save them money, then maybe apply a little pressure, because it would help them if it's going to save them money. It will help the chamber or association because they're on the board. They know that it's an income stream that you could probably use, right? It's a win-win. All right. So here's what we talked about. You know how when you were in high school and they taught you how to write an essay? Tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. This is what we talked about. Group travel, advertising, events, sponsorships, ad journals, affinity relationships. These are just scratching the surface. I was at Institute this summer and I took the Revving Your Revenue class because it's something that I love. And Josh talked about finding what did he call it? A grant writer, a commission only grant writer. Imagine that. Imagine all the government money that is just sitting out there that you probably qualify for that you don't even know is there. Find a grant writer who's commission only and have them start finding it for you. And you fill your coffers and they take a little piece, and that's okay. Is this strictly related to one business per industry? How do you pick that one? Question from Carol White. I think you're talking about the affinity partnerships. And yes, you do not ever want your affinity partnerships to compete with each other. Yes. All right, we are a little earlier than I thought. How do you pick that one? You have to vet them. You can request RFPs, and you pick the best one. I attended the Northeast Institute, Linda. And with that, I think, Cece, does it make sense to open this up to Q&A? Should we start a conversation and a dialogue?
Yeah, so there are a couple questions earlier on that I will circle back to.
Okay.
Shruti asked, do any associations here have banner ads on their website? Can that be perceived as possibly promoting one member versus another?
No, it's advertising. And I would say, good. If you have AT&T with a banner ad and Verizon notices, good. Maybe Verizon will buy a banner ad.
And Megan asked, what kind of traffic do you have and does it influence your price setting each year?
Yes, you want your traffic to be as transparent as possible. And so when you have an advertiser who is getting the kind of visibility that you told them they would based on your traffic, you can continue to maintain that price or even increase it. Yeah.
And Genovia asked, I really want/need to see advertising and emails to sponsors. We do most of this, but our cost is obviously too low. So statement there. And then I think we had some questions coming in just now. Is there a list of grant writers that work on commission only grants?
If there is, I have not found it. I go onto LinkedIn periodically and I do a search for grant writers and I start conversations with them.
Okay. And do you initially offer the banner ad option to all membership?
Yes, I send an email once a year minimum to the entire membership that includes the visibility catalog link. I don't take money. I don't say no to money. Some money is always better than no money. Always offer the visibility catalog, the options to everybody. You never know where you're gonna like the mom and pop shop that you thought was probably too small to even want to advertise. You never know. They might be doing $10 million a year in revenue and they've got money for you. You just don't know.
And so we, can definitely go ahead and open it up. Let's see, Carla said we had a dental office member by an email blast that went out this morning, and we've already received inquiries from 5 additional members who wish to do one. Easiest $1,000 the chamber could generate. Excellent.
I like that so much better than when people ask for your list. Sometimes people will say, well, I only want to join if I'm going to get the member list as an Excel spreadsheet because they want to upload it to their database and then start blasting your members, right? But that's advertising, and there's no reason why you can't sell them an email blast that will probably have a higher open rate because it comes from your office, is co-branded with your logo, and it makes you money.
Yeah, well, we encourage people to ask here in the chat any other questions or any thoughts that this brought up, best practices or, perhaps something that didn't go as planned. And we can definitely talk more of it here. Or if anybody has questions for Kate.
So this is the work that I do every day, but I've never done a presentation on it, so it definitely went quicker than I anticipated. So if you want to raise your hand and ask a question with the group, I'm okay with that too. Sounds like a lot of you are doing some really cool group travel. I love that.
Yeah. So let's see. Megan asked, any worst practices like programs that were a bust or had no interest?
I have a love-hate relationship with golf. And I don't mean my personal game, although that could always be better. Um, golf is such a weird thing right now because I came from an organization where we just couldn't do one anymore. People didn't have an interest. We couldn't sell it. People didn't want to donate. Like it was just a dead thing. And then I showed up in Minnesota and we had our first outing 2 months ago. It was our first outing since pre-COVID and we sold out. And I don't know how. I don't know why. People love it out here. Um, golf is a really heavy lift. Um, and unless you're factoring in all of the soft costs, I'm not always 100% I'm 100% sure that it's worth it. Yeah, golf is my personal bête noire. Yeah, Julia House, yeah. Oh, nice. Mason, you're doing your first international trip to Tuscany? Golf tourneys kill. That's amazing. Oh, thank you, Maria. Hey, Heath. Oh my gosh, I know you.
And then there was a question as well of any other non-dues revenue sources, which I think we've covered a good number here as well.
Yeah. Weekly newsletter, supposed to be exclusive. Oh, cycling, it's not really exclusive. I'm trying to evolve it as well as communicate strategically with members versus sending ever communicate. Yeah, that's a hard one. I have often struggled with whether or not I sell to non-members or not. And I always come down on the side of some money is better than no money with a caveat. I always charge non-members more, and I sometimes try really hard to charge them so much that I can then just grandfather them in as a member. So like if membership is $400 and I charge them $350 more than the member price, then I just give them a membership, if that makes sense. Selling to non-members is rough, but I do it.
And then we have a question from Frank. We are going to bring back expos potentially next year. Any suggestions, best practices or worst practices? Any other advice?
Expos are hard. Where I came from in New Jersey, they were all but dead. And here in Minnesota, people love them. I would say try to create as many interactive opportunities as possible because the last thing you want is just a bunch of tables with people handing out candy. You want, I don't know, we're the Hospitality Association, and so we have a company that sells furniture for restaurants, and also hotels. And so we created like a living room situation in the middle of the expo floor, and that was kind of fun and nice. We also had a company who has robots that deliver food to tables. I don't know where the robots have been placed in restaurants already, but the robots were kind of wandering around the expo floor. So those would be my suggestions. Try to make it as interactive as possible.
And then we have somebody that also chipped in on that answer as well. We do an expo. We are limited to 92 vendors, but to jazz it up, we changed it to evening hours, wine and beer, added comp spots for restaurants to provide food. We did a theme
Ooh,
and have best in show awards. So
I
somebody
love that.
yeah.
I
And
love
then
that.
we had a question, or somebody asked in regards to the first international trip, who it was that they used.
Mm.
So also a good time just to share kind of
Yeah,
best
Colette
practices there.
Travel, or I think it's called Colette Vacations. They're the ones that I used, and they were fantastic to work with. Quest, excellent. Getting
Yeah.
back to yeah, the expo. I love the idea of adding restaurants. It doesn't have to be a full-on taste of event, but having some great food as part of it is a really nice addition. So I like that. Expo and job fair. Nice.
And then Mason had a question. We're moving into a new building in January and want to sell room sponsorships for 2 years.
Yes.
Suggestions on best practices to approach businesses with the opportunity.
Okay, so this has been something that I have dreamed of forever. I love this so much. I would say go to your best people right now, and ask for their advice, ask for their help. People love to help when they feel like they're being needed. And when I say best people, I mean, personally, I love Excel. Make a list of all of your sponsors and then sort it by amount. And whoever is at the top, you go to them first, right? Not because you want them to feel like your hand is always out, but they have the means and you need their advice. Like, what would something like this cost? I've never done this before, AT&T. How much would you pay for it? I don't know. What do you think? Have a conversation with them and be vulnerable, and let them know that you're planning to do this because it needs to be done and there's a line item and there's a budget and it has to happen. Seek wise counsel. Ask their advice and see what they say. And if they tell you, well, probably, I mean, my budget probably, if you were to ask me, I probably could only do like $5,000. Be like, sold. I mean, with a lot more subtlety than that, obviously. But that's what I would do. I would start at the top of my list and I would work my way down, asking for their advice because you've never done this before. And I would say, don't stop at just the buildings sorry, listen to me. I'm going to take over the world in a minute. Don't stop at just the conference rooms. I love the idea of sponsoring like a little basket in the ladies' room. Make it the AT&T ladies' room. You know what I mean? Like, there is no downside to sponsoring the walls that you are looking at right now. Some money is always better than no money, and sell it all, I think.
And then Zenobia did ask if anybody has everything on a golf tournament. So if you'd like to share, Zenobia dropped their
Yes, Mason. Restrooms, kitchen, server closet, everything. Mason, you have my heart. I cannot wait to see those logos attached to the restroom and the kitchen. I would sell the bathroom walls if I could.
And then Kelsey asked, are your expos themed by industry or do you allow all? Is it a classic home and garden show, for example? It sounds like somebody answered they do a home expo and allow members and non-members to have booth, a tech sponsor, monitor conference speakers. Love it. Excellent. These are great engagement. And then we had some people sharing as well who they use for travel groups. So yeah, it's a great sharing of best practices. Great questions coming in. Keep it coming. These are great. I think, everyone has a different perspective, and whether it's best practice, worst practice, question, blind spot, it's really good to see them
Does
sharing.
anybody still do a paper newspaper, like a real newspaper or a newsletter? Dan Swan, your golf outing sounds amazing. Yeah, the paper I think is just going away altogether, but it's nice. Yeah, it's all online. Yeah, that's good. It costs a lot for it to be paper, but there's something to be said for having a couple of issues of your own paper in your lobby when people come to visit. An update magazine, that's cool. A real newspaper, that's awesome. Yeah. Golf is the best because you can sponsor anything. I still have the shoe bag sponsored by a bank that no longer exists from my first outing 20 years ago.
And Emma shared, we partner with a regional newspaper to insert our newsletter into it monthly in addition to printing for members and online.
Oh, yes, Dan Swan. Wi-Fi sponsor at events. I love that. Where I used to be at a previous job, they wouldn't let me do that because our IT guys were like, well, if the security on the Wi-Fi is messy and somebody has something stolen, blah, 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 they could hold us liable. And I was like, you don't understand. So I love that you're doing that. I want to do it so badly. Oh, a murder mystery. Oh, Kim, that sounds amazing. Yes, yes. Megan Gilbert. Wi-Fi sponsored at an expo. Sponsor got to set the name and password. Beautiful. 200 people running around in costumes. Amazing. You guys are so smart. The chat is
Yes.
amazing. I agree.
Provide the relevant, we can filter for and provide some of these best practices as an additional document.
I love it. This is the best part about Institute, right? Is
The sharing.
the sharing. Yeah. Yeah, and if anybody wants to see my package documents, just let me know. I can help with that. Institute is the best. A loose sponsor. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Excellent.
This chat is awesome.
Yeah. Well, any other questions? I want to keep it going. This is great to see. So feel free to keep this going.
I agree. Yeah, and this is once again how to find me if you need to. Wonderful. A skeet shoot? That's amazing. Oh, thank you, Raymond. Thank you, Gretchen. Yes, we can email the slides. Oh,
Yes.
wait. There is a question here.
So, do your affinity programs have a minimum, like you have to be a certain size, or do they need a certain number of uses to qualify you?
No. I once had a partnership with WB Mason, and one of the things that they said, one of their internal pieces of information was that the average office spends about $500 per employee per year on office supplies. And so that helped us when we would sell to offices because we could then ask them how many people were on staff and we could calculate about what the savings would be. But there is no minimum. You just want to make sure that the opportunity is worth it. Like if you're going to sell office supplies, you want to sell to a bigger office as opposed to a smaller office because there's more money in it, right? So no, I would say no.
And we have a lot of exchange of emails. So if you're included in this, please see below for privacy. We won't include this in the transcript just for people's privacy. So please, if you are asking for or looking to get info, if you can just jot that down. We just want to be mindful of people's emails out there in the ether.
Agree.
So it's great to see this. I love this exchange of info and sharing of practices.
Yeah.
And I love to see my hometown on here. Welcome, Vernal.
Shout out to
Vernal,
Kim
Utah.
Haven't seen you in a long time.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Then there's also digital program sponsor for events listed.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, it sounds like, yeah, kind of wrap it up. But if anybody has anything pending, Kate, truly thank you. And just as a reminder for those still on, as we conclude here, a recording will be sent to you via email, and then we also will have a recording, the presentation, and transcript, so relevant best practices included as an additional document as well. That typically is available about 48 hours, and then we will do a social post here in the next week or so, just to remind you that that is up. So thank you, Kate, for sharing your knowledge, and thank you everyone as well for participating and sharing best practices. As Kate said, that is, I think, one of the greatest things about Institute is seeing the sharing between people of practices and, you know, asking that question, being vulnerable. So thank you all for joining and sharing today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.